I am on the main deck of the 1091, a World War II era ship ashore Humboldt Bay, and I am about to explore the lower decks of this ship. Now, just in case you never got a chance to see the first episode where I explored all the upper decks, I'm going to show a short clip to give you a little bit of background on the 1091. If you've already seen that clip, well then skip ahead and let's get this exploration underway. I would like to introduce you to the 1091 ashore Humboldt Bay near the Samoa Cookhouse, the Maritime Museum, and the Timber Heritage Museum. This ship was awarded several battle stars for service in 2 wars. During World War II, it landed troops during the Battle of Okinawa. During the Korean War, it was retrofitted with a medical lab to help prevent the spread of wartime disease. What makes this story even more remarkable is a small but dedicated crew of military veterans who have been volunteering their time for over a decade to keep this historic ship from collapsing into a pile of rust and scrap metal. And that 1091 crew has graciously granted my request to give us a tour of this historic ship right here on Humboldt Outdoors. John, great, you got the lights going here, much better.
Oh yeah.
Oops, wow.
That's a little wrinkle in the deck there.
So this is my first place on the lower decks. What is this place?
Well, this is what we call troop number 3, and there's 4 compartments like this, and 200 troops total. 60 guys in here, sleeping on bunks like this, 4 high. They would be in here with all of their equipment, their backpacks, their rifles, whatever guns they had. They would have their own food.
Now, Carl was telling me earlier, they didn't even eat with the crew. They would eat their rations down here. Huh?
That's right. They would eat what they brought with them. If they knew that they were going to have to spend a day on the ship, they'd bring a day's ship rations. If they had to spend 3 days on the ship, they'd bring 3 days worth of rations, plus whatever they had to go to the beach with. Oh. And it would be C rations, K rations, whatever, all cold, all out of cans. It all comes of being Marines or infantry. That's what happens. And it was crowded, it was hot, particularly in the Mediterranean and in the South Pacific. The smells were horrendous. Half of these guys were scared and sweaty. The other half were seasick and vomiting. And everybody was just understood that they were going onto a hostile beach.
Were the troops ever allowed to go up on the higher decks?
Occasionally, with the permission of the captain and their own officers.
These soldiers are pretty much stuck in this hold for 3-4 days. What would they do while they were down here?
Well, polish their weapons and talk amongst themselves about what was going on. Sure, there was lots of gambling going on, because there usually was. Card games and craps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, it really strikes me being down in here and realizing the reason this whole ship exists was for these soldiers to be transported.
Yeah, soldiers, we call them infantry or Marines. That's basically what these things were for, is to keep the troops relatively secure until they got to the beach. You know, I feel for them. Not a position I would want to be in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But they did it. They did it bravely, and they all did their job. Carl's waiting for you in the engine room, which is the next place you're going to visit.
Okay, great. I go up these stairs here?
Yeah, you go up these stairs and go aft.
Okay.
That means to the back of the boat.
Well, thank you for the instruction in nautical terms. Thanks, John. I'll see you around later on.
Yes, you will. This is the engine room.
Wow, now let's start with this. What is this panel?
We're standing in front of the main electrical panel.
I noticed on this panel, it says date 1944. So this is the original electrical panel on this
Correct.
ship? Oh my gosh. And then this panel would distribute the electrical charge throughout the ship.
But what energizes this panel is right behind you is the main generator.
Would it still operate today if you ran it?
Yes.
So all these other engines I see in here were completely separate that would run the propellers, basically.
Correct. It pushes the ship through the water.
Wow, okay, let's go look at that. Oh, yeah, I see right away. These are much bigger than the ship generator engine.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
They propel the ship through the water. They are hooked to the shaft that run through the shaft alley to the propellers on the back of the ship.
Would the crew take orders from the officers up on the bridge?
Mm-hmm. And the crew in the engine room would get a signal from the bridge, from the engine order telegraph that would alert them. They would make the proper adjustments to the engine speed.
They didn't steer the ship from this room.
That's correct. The machinery for steering was in a compartment referred to as after steering.
Show me the way.
Okay.
Come on down, Ray. You move down through this passageway into the after steering room.
I'm gonna go ahead and get behind the wheel. There we go. Okay.
This is after steering. This is where the ship can be steered.
You know, one thing I'm not real clear of, there was a steering system up in the wheelhouse and a steering system down here. I don't quite understand why you needed two.
This is emergency after steering is what it's called.
So they wouldn't normally use this, except if...
This is where the ship can be steered in case of an emergency and the steering gear on the bridge is knocked out. Reach over here, turn this wheel, which would engage or disengage the steering wheel. And then,
Wow.
yeah.
So there's a crew member with a headset on, and the captain would say, turn a certain degree, and that crew member would look at the compass, and then go,
Yeah.
if there's no electricity, and get set. Wow, that's pretty interesting, Don.
Most naval ships have an emergency after steering. Everything you see in here is original World War II equipment. We repainted it, the inside of it, and then we started working on the after deck up above. You know, right now our priorities are to get the deck watertight so we don't have leakage in here.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I've never gotten to actually stir the rudders of a ship before. And now if I can get out, it's kind of a tight squeeze here. I did it.
So, Don, this troop compartment is a lot smaller than the one that John showed me earlier.
It's the furthest aft troop compartment, had about 46 people in it.
Okay.
All in a bunk similar to some of the other troop compartments
The
you've
one
seen
that
before.
John showed me, yeah.
Yeah. And when it was time to go, they'd come up this ladder and head forward. Ray, so you can experience for yourself, why don't you take a walk up the ladder and up through the path that the troops would actually take when it was time to disembark.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea because this was the furthest back of the ship, so this would have been the longest walk.
Longest walk.
Okay, I'll take your advice. Let me try it.
Hey, you in there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
come
what
on
a-
out and
what
we'll
a
talk
place.
about this.
Okay.
Come in here, I gotta grab something.
We'll work around. These guys are working,
Yeah.
so we could film around them.
Busy people.
Yeah. So tell me about this place, if you would.
All right. Well, these double doors are the entrance to the forecastle, and that's where the ramp was that allowed the troops to go down to the beach. As soon as the ramp was down, or ramp was open, and the doors were open, they'd start coming. They'd get the order to hit the beach.
And what kind of gear were they carrying with them while
Well-
they were lined up here?
Probably 60 to 70 pounds of gear in their pack, which includes food and extra ammunition and stuff like that. They'd have whatever weapon they were assigned to. If they're infantry, usually it would be a rifle. As soon as the boat touches, the doors open, the ramp's down, they get the order to go down the ramp and onto the beach. They'll be able to get 200 guys onto the beach in about 3 minutes. That's quick. They're going at a dead run down the ramp, side by side, two at a time, but there's just a continuous stream of them going down there. So they're very organized, and they've practiced this before,
Okay.
so they know how to do it.
So here's these 200 infantry Marines here waiting to go onto the beach. Any idea what's going through their mind?
Well, at this point, all of them will be a little scared, but most of them will be going, let's get our job done. And, you know, they're, in one sense, happy to be off the boat because this is a misery drill anyhow.
Yeah.
And once they get on the beach, they're doing what they're trained to do. So I think their main point of view is let's get this done.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've talked about how we get the guys from berthing up to here, I'll take you inside here and we'll show you a few little odds and ends.
Yes, let's go.
This is called the forecastle, as in forecastle on ancient boats. And it's at the forwardmost end of the boat, right at the bow, where the
Okay.
thing comes together in a point.
All right.
And we're using it right now as a tool room. But originally, this area had the ramp, which allowed the troops to get to the beach. And the ramp started right over there, and it went down probably 8 feet until just above the water line. This deck right here has been put in after the fact so that this could be used for other things. Let's go back in. I guess the guys are about ready to take a break and we can have some donuts and, you know,
Yeah, I see him going in there. Let's go join him.
we'll just discuss what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, gee, you guys, thanks. After spending all this time on a ship with you, I've really become fond of the old 1091 too, and I can see why you're all so fond of it.
Oh, it's not only the ship, it's the crew. The comradeship between other veterans. And we all support each other.
Yes, that's right. And anybody else who wants to join our crew will be part of us, and we support them as well.
Well, I gotta say, when you make this into a historic ship people can visit, you're all excellent tour guides because you've given me wonderful tours of this ship.
We're proud of it. It doesn't look like much now.
You know, it looks a little rough from the outside. You look at it and there are rust streaks all over it. But the ship girder itself is in good shape. All you have to do is take care of the little things that are critical right now.
So when you get this ship up to where you want it as a historic ship and your people are allowed to come back on here, what do you want them to feel and experience when they come on board this old World War II ship?
All pieces of its life.
And not only the military heritage, but the fisheries heritage.
So you all knew the previous owner of the ship, Dr. Davis, right?
Oh, yes. He's a member of the crew.
And he ran this as a fishing boat.
That's correct. He fished albacore with it.
You still have a lot of work ahead of you to get this ship back to where you want it, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
Definitely.
I've seen you guys up there working. It's hard work. You're down on your knees scraping and scrubbing.
We can only do it for a couple hours and run out of the Wheaties. No more steam. One of the most important parts, and Don touched on it, is for us to be able to support veterans who would benefit from hanging around with a bunch of other vets.
That's right.
And anybody else who wants to join our crew, we support them as well.
More the merrier.
Thanks again, guys. I really appreciated this. Anyway, I'm going to get going, and I'll let you guys get back to work. Thanks again. We'll see you probably in a month or two.
Excellent.
And I got a lot of editing to do. All right. See you later.
Bye. fun is over. Now we gotta go to work.
Time to get to work.
It is what it is. Max, life on this boat.
All right, let's do it.
I'll show you where that is.